Starting 2019 ranked 106th in the world, the 18-year-old is now only 2 wins away from potentially breaking into the world's top 20. Canadian rising star Felix Auger-Aliassime has said he is privileged to be compared with some of the biggest names in the world in tennis as his fairytale run at the Miami Open continues. The 18-year-old qualifier has become the youngest player in the history of men's tennis to reach the semifinals of the Miami Masters. He achieved the milestone with a 7-6, 3, 6-2 win over 11th seed born Meteoric on Wednesday. Playing in the main draw of a Masters 1000 event for only the 5th time in his career, Auger-Aliassime fired 8 aces and broke his opponent 3 times en route to the shock victory. "Borna has been established for a few years now and I definitely didn't expect to win," the world number 57 told reporters afterwards. "I expected more of a set like in the first, but in the second it really surprised me. I felt like I had a margin over him, a bit of an edge, and I felt comfortable out there from the first ball." A former teenage tennis prodigy, Auger-Aliassime has managed to break through on the professional tour this season. In February he reached his maiden ATP final at the Rio Open, which is categorized as an ATP 500 event. Then in Indian Wells, he scored his first top 10 scalp after defeating Stefanos Tsitsipas in straight sets. It is however at Miami, where he has achieved his biggest milestone yet. The Canadian is only the second qualifier to reach the semifinals after Guillermo Canas back in 2007. He is also the 4th youngest Masters semifinalist since 1990. "I think I'm serving well, so it's really putting pressure on them, other players." Auger-Aliassime commented on the development of his game. "With all the matches I've played, it brings confidence for the end of matches like this, against Meteoric when it's tight. Along with the surge in success, comes the inevitable comparisons. The last teenagers to progress to the last 4 in Miami were Novak Djokovic and Andy Murray back in 2007. He has already received a lot of praise from his rivals on the tour, including Roger Federer. I like his attitude. For someone who is young like him, it's impressive. We've seen it in the past with Leighton Hewitt or Rafael Nadal, guys who are already mentally strong," Federer told Radio Canada last week. "I think we can put him a bit in that category. It could be easy for the youngster to get caught up in all the hype. He is one of 3 rising stars raising the profile of Canadian tennis, along with Denis Shapovalov and Bianca Andreescu." Describing the reactions he has received as pretty crazy, nevertheless, Auger-Aliassime has developed a good level of maturity at such a young age. "It's a privilege to be compared to all of these great players and it shows I'm doing the right things and is on the right track. Right now, I'm just enjoying every day, every match because you never know what is going to happen next." Despite his young age, Auger-Aliassime also boasts a perfect 5-0 winning record against top 20 opposition. Besides Meteoric and Tsitsipas, he has also scored wins over Lucas Pouille, Fabio Fognini and Nicolas Basilashvili. "A lot of things are working. I've just been improving in the last couple of weeks," he said. "I don't want to look back right now. I think I maybe will do at the end of the tournament. I'm looking forward to the next match and how far I can go in this tournament." The next challenge for the next-gen star comes in the form of defending champion John Isner, who defeated Roberto Bautista Agut in his quarter-final match. Isner is seeking to become only the 5th man in history to win back-to-back Miami titles, following in the footsteps of players such as Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras. "I think I'll have to adjust my return position. Look at his match against Roberto Bautista Agut to see how he played today, where he likes serving on important points. From there focus myself, what I have to do, and then figure out a way to break him," Auger-Aliassime said of playing Isner. Starting 2019 ranked outside the top 100, Auger-Aliassime has also become the first ATP player born in the 2000s to crack the top 30. As it currently stands, he is projected to rise to the mid or low 30s in the rankings next week. Although, he could break inside the top 30 by reaching the Miami final and even the top 20 if he wins the title. The men's semifinal matches will be played on Friday. On Thursday, the men complete their quarterfinals, while the women play the semifinals. Kevin Anderson, photo by Chrysaline Cayo, copyright at Sport Vision. The first women's semifinal features two young players who have never advanced this far at a premier mandatory event, 22-year-old Ash Barty and 23-year-old Anett Kontaveit. The first men's quarterfinal of the day similarly highlights the ATP's youth movement, with 19-year-old Denis Shapovalov and 21-year-old Frances Tiafoe. The second women's semifinal sees a former world number one just one match win away from reclaiming that ranking, against a former major finalist looking for her first premier mandatory final. And in the last men's quarterfinal, it's two players in their 30s. 32-year-old Kevin Anderson is vying for the biggest title of his career, and 37-year-old Roger Federer is going for career title number 101. Roger Federer, 4, versus Kevin Anderson, 6, embed from Getty Images. Federer is 5-1 against Anderson, but that one loss was a big one. Federer was up 2 sets and had a match point last year in the Wimbledon quarterfinals, yet Anderson climbed his way back to win 13-11 in the fifth. That's actually the only match in which Kevin has taken a set from Roger. Federer would avenge that loss later in the year, and in the same city, with a straight set win at the ATP Finals. Roger didn't play his best tennis at the start of this tournament, but he's improved with every round, and looked very sharp yesterday against Daniil Medvedev. Anderson has been suffering from a right elbow injury, and had to pull out of both the New York Open and Indian Wells. It's impressive that he's advanced to this quarterfinal having not played since the Australian Open, though he's yet to play a seeded player. This matchup leans heavily toward Federer's favor, and he's the more informed player. Roger will be motivated to not allow Kevin to get another win over him. As Ben Rothenberg quoted Federer on Twitter, "If you beat me at Wimbledon, you've got my attention." Simona Halep, 2, versus Karolina Pliskova, 5, embed from Getty Images. These two just played an extremely competitive Fed Cup match just last month, with Halep prevailing 6-4 in the third. Halep holds a 7-2 record over Pliskova, with most of her victories coming in straight sets. The only times Karolina has gotten the better of Simona are last year on clay in Madrid, and in a 2016 Fed Cup match. Other than a scare in her third-round match here against Polona Hercog, Halep has advanced comfortably to this semifinal. Pliskova's path was a bit more complicated, as she twice had to go deep into a third set to survive. Karolina has been the healthier and more successful player this year. She is 20-4 in 2019, with a title win in Brisbane, a semi-final run in Melbourne, and quarter-final run 2 weeks ago in Indian Wells. Pliskova's tennis has been much improved over the past 6 months with the joint coaching team of Renee Stubbs and Conchita Martinez. Halep had about half as many wins as Pliskova in the year coming into this tournament, though she's playing her best tennis of the season with her own coaching situation now settled. This matchup is to Halep's advantage, as she makes it difficult for Pliskova to hit through her. But will she feel the pressure of regaining the number 1 ranking with a win today? We saw her lose several such matches which would have earned her that ranking in 2017. This could easily become a prolonged contest, and if so, I wonder how Halep's knee will hold it, as it's been taped all week. In a month where we've seen a lot of upsets on the American hard courts, I'm going with Pliskova to advance to Saturday's final. She's the player with more confidence and momentum. Other notable matches on day 11 embed from Getty Images. Denis Shapovalov, 20, versus Frances Tiafoe, 28. They've split 2 previous matches, both last year on American hard courts. Ash Barty, 12, versus Anett Kontaveit, 21. Their first meeting will be one of the most important matches in both of their young careers. It is the end of an era for an event loved by many players and fans. Roger Federer and Belinda Bencic at the 2019 Hopman Cup. Image via twitter.com/Hopman Cup closing parenthesis. When the Swiss duo of Roger Federer and Belinda Bencic triumphed at the Perth Arena earlier this year, many knew it was the start of the end for the Hopman Cup. The mixed team tournament has been fixture in the calendar since 1989. Over the years it has welcomed some of the biggest names in the sport, including Serena Williams, Goran Ivanisevic, Steffi Graf, Petr Kwarta, Monica Seles, John McEnroe, Novak Djokovic and many more. The event had been a huge hit with both players and fans due to their unique format, where one man and one woman team up to represent their country. The teams will then participate in the group stages with the top two progressing to the final. I want to see international tennis here in Perth. If it's the Hopman Cup, that's great. If it's not, then it's a pity. We had an unbelievable event here for so many years, 20-time Grand Slam champion Federer told reporters in January. These events like the Laver Cup and other team competitions back in the day, they get the players closer together, men and women. We share a lot of tournaments together, but it's not the same as when you play together or share the same court. The players have always enjoyed this event, and let's hope it continues in some way, shape or form. Throwback to 2002 when Roger Federer played the Hopman Cup with his now wife Mirka Vavranek. Wonder what they would have said then if you predicted 19 Grand Slams and 2 sets of twins were in their future? pic.twitter.com/LHCKPLNPWC, Mike McIntyre, @ProTennisFan. January 5, 2018. Unfortunately for the Hopman Cup, it will not be continuing in the future due to a brand new team event coming to Australia. From 2020, the ATP Cup will be the top attraction for the men in January. 24 teams will take place in the round-robin event across 3 cities in the area. Held over 10 days, the ties will consist of 2 singles and 1 doubles matches. On offer will be a maximum of 750 ranking points for the winner as well as a mouthwatering prize money pool of $15 million. The ATP Cup will launch the global tennis season for the men. This is their event, it means a lot to them and they've thrown their support behind it 100%. Tennis Australia CEO Craig Tiley said in a statement. The Hopman Cup had been set to continue until 2022 under a deal struck with the local government. However, negotiations between the ATP, International Tennis Federation (ITF), and government officials have agreed an early exit. The only consolation for Perth, which has been the home of the Hopman Cup, is that the city has been named as one of the venues for the ATP Cup, alongside Perth and Brisbane. However, women's tennis will not longer take place in Perth. Mark McGowan, who is the Premier of Western Australia, has said he will work with Tennis Australia to try and create a new women's event in the region. Tennis holds a special place in the hearts of many WA people, myself included, and the ATP Cup will ensure we build on that tradition and provide fans with more opportunities to experience world-class tennis in Perth, said Paul Papalia, Western Australia Minister for Tourism. This new tournament is expected to attract even more media interest, which will provide a valuable opportunity to promote Perth and our state to a global audience, he added. Hopman Cup 2.0. Whilst it is the end of an era for the Hopman Cup, the ITF is hopeful that they can bring to life a similar competition. David Haggerty, who is the president of the governing body, has indicated that there has been strong interest in another mixed event. The ITF is committed to upholding the core values of the Hopman Cup in the future and is encouraged by the interest that has already been expressed. Haggerty told the Associated Press. We will keep the Hopman Cup alive and look forward to successful future editions of this unique event. It has been no secret that another organization is already working on these plans. Cosmos gained notoriety for their involvement in the transformation of the Davis Cup. pledging to invest $3 billion in the event over a 25-year period. From this year, the finals will take place over a week with 18 teams participating. Beyond the Davis Cup, Cosmos has also outlined their desire to embark upon other tennis competitions, including the possibility of creating a mixed-team event during April. The event could potentially take place during the same weekend as the Davis Cup ties would have taken place under the old format. We are working on different projects but with a basis to improve the lives of tennis players who complain about the denseness of their calendar. We have to spare weeks to release and improve it, Cosmos CEO Javier Alonso told Marca February. It is unclear as to when or if a new event will come to life. If it does, it will not be an easy task filling the void left behind by the prestigious Hopman Cup. Roger Federer is into the quarterfinals after a stunning display against Daniil Medvedev. Roger Federer, at ATP_Tour, Twitter. Roger Federer produced a 60-minute masterclass to beat Daniil Medvedev 6-4, 6-2 to reach the Miami Open quarterfinals. The fourth seed was in fine form as he produced a wonderful performance in his delayed fourth-round match against Medvedev. A number of unforced errors saw the Russian crumble under pressure as the match was being played at a rapid speed. In the quarterfinals, Federer will now play Kevin Anderson in a rematch from their Wimbledon quarterfinal last year. Blink and you'll miss seemed to be the key theme of this contest as both men were holding serves with relative ease as Medvedev produced a unique challenge today. There were some punishing rallies that took place which Medvedev was looking to take advantage of, although the Swiss looked to moments of brilliance to escape the punishment. That is spectacular. Outrageous hands from it. Roger Federer clapping hands. Eventually though Medvedev couldn't take the heat, and Federer struck like the champion he is, converting his first break to serve for the set. Then a deciding factor in who would win the match. The world number 15 had 3 break points to level the set and test Federer further. But it was all a bit too conservative from the defensive Russian, who couldn't convert. The experience from Federer was telling as he converted his first set point. Clinical finishing from a deadly champion proved decisive. After that Medvedev lost a lot of his confidence as he was starting to miss some very simplistic shots. A break at the start of the second set was a key factor. A lightning-fast performance from Federer, who produced a lesson in how to be clinical and smart, and after breaking for a second time served out the 60-minute display. A smart match from Federer means he has plenty of rest ahead of his quarterfinal against Kevin Anderson as he sets his sights on title number 101.